you've got doctors who I don't think, I mean, listening to what Dr. Ravi Jayaram said in court, I don't think he had a clue what a neonatal nurse does. He said with the baby K trial that he walked in and Lucy was stood at the incubator not doing anything. Well, if he'd have walked in on me, that would have been the same because you're taught that when an alarm goes off, you assess that baby before you ever put your hands in that incubator because the alarm going off could be something as simple as the baby wriggling and the probe losing contact, right through to the baby has actually dislodged a line or dislodged its ET tube, which was described in this baby K video trial. I mean, Ravi, in one of the ITV interviews, said, oh, a 25 weeker, he's never seen dislodge an ET tube. Well, that's because he was never on the unit. It happens all the time.
And you know Ravi, don't you?
I do know Ravi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just find it almost inconceivable that you could be a pediatrician and you could believe that the only way that tube can be extubated is deliberately. I just don't see any conceivable way you could believe that.
I think it's like many things. You have to remember the timing of the retrial of baby K.
Hmm.
So these consultants, going back to 2015-16, got an idea in their head. And it became a self-fulfilling prophecy for them. They looked for evidence to point the finger at Lucy. They were absolutely convinced that it was her. When it came to the retrial of baby K, Ravi was riding on the crest of a wave. He'd been hailed in Parliament by Rishi Sunak as a hero, a whistleblower, and maybe some degree of, I don't know, maybe arrogance or overconfidence swept him along on this wave. I often wonder why, out of all the babies, and I think there were six that they couldn't come to a judgment on, why did the police choose baby K? Was it because Ravi was saying, I caught her virtually red-handed, because in his head, what actually went on that night had changed. And we all know that human beings have that ability to have false memories, that you remember something but not as accurately as it actually happened. And maybe because he was riding on this crest of a wave, his memory failed him, despite the fact he says that it's etched on his memory. I mean, there's so many things wrong with the video that he put out with ITN. I mean, apart from anything, he says that he looked at his watch. Well, that's a big no-no. He shouldn't have a watch on. You never have jewelry or watches on in a neonatal unit because you can't thoroughly wash your hands in order to avoid giving that baby an infection. So that's the first red flag. But there's lots of red flags here. And we now know that what he said that she didn't call him when he was in court is now a blatant lie because there's the email that he wrote, I think he wrote it to Steve Breary, saying, oh, yes, Lucy did call me. But then there's also lots of questions I have about the terminology these consultants had at the time. One of the emails he wrote was, we have to pique the police interest. Well, why do you have to pique the police interest? If you've got factual evidence, you don't need to pique anything. Evidence speaks for itself.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of concerns. And there's a part of me that actually feels quite sorry for Ravi now, because I think he probably does regret what's gone on. I hope he's reading what's out in the press and the media. But the damage is done. And the damage is done not just to Lucy being incarcerated, but to these poor families who have had just a nightmare of a time.